This is how it's gonna be. This is what you think of me. It's going down like I told you. This is how it's gonna be. I'll be the last man standing here. I'm not going anywhere. It's going down like I told you. I'll be the last man standing here. What you gonna do? I'm gonna rock you. What you gonna do? I'm gonna rock you. What you gonna do? I'm gonna rock you. I'll have you begging for mercy, begging for mercy. Oh, I'm dangerous. So dangerous.
Hello, Body Slams podcast viewers, and welcome to Thursday Night Slam here on the Body Slams podcast.com. At the top of the hour there, you got to see our list of other podcast shows who is affiliated with us all together from Devereaux Sports on each night of the week. Just about every day. We're missing like 1 or 2 days, but we're trying to hit across the board, trying to give everyone what they love, whether it be pro wrestling, MMA, combat type of fights, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, even soccer, whatsoever. You name it, we're trying to shove it down your throat. But I want to give a shout out to all of our other affiliates out there who give us much love and much support. The guys at the Tornado Tag Podcast. Also, the fellows, the two Daves over at the 2300 Wrestling Podcast. All the way in Puerto Rico, Conversación de Lucha Libre, Backstabbers Wrestling Podcast, as well as Bob Culture Podcast. But you know what? I'm not going to waste anybody's time. This is Thursday Night Slam. You're tuning in for one thing and one thing only, and as to see who is our guest for the evening. But without any further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring our man, our primetime player himself, Baltimore Ravens fan himself. He is the Bearded Raven, as we all like to call him. Well, maybe just me. Our man, Dennis Reaper.
And Ravens Cup it is.
Yes, it is.
Talking about the Ravens. Hell yeah, even though we didn't make the playoffs, it's okay.
And
there's
you
always
know
next season.
And you know what I say about that, right? Sit your ass down on the couch next to my Eagles, and we can make fun of Dallas too, because you jackasses didn't make it in.
Look, I can't make any fun of Dallas or the Eagles because y'all at least made the playoffs. We did not.
Look, I don't care. I would give you, your Ravens, more support than I would Dallas. Plus, you guys are some birds and you live nearby too.
This is a very true statement. You know what's even scarier? I was actually rooting for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs.
Oh, really? I actually missed the game, but I want the Steelers to win too myself.
I was rooting for I wanted to see Big Ben pull it out, man, and get that last one before, walking away. But unfortunately, they play the Kansas City Chiefs,
Yes, sir. Well, today we have a very special guest tonight.
We do. We really, really do.
Someone that knows both of us quite well. I've been friends with this guy for I don't know how many years, but I know the first time I met him was way back in the world of MySpace. And by chance, I actually still have a MySpace. For real, seriously, I'm not kidding
I can't
around.
even log into my MySpace. I probably have it still. I just can't log in.
But yeah, this gentleman, he is the self-proclaimed. I don't know if he is self-proclaimed or did he get voted in? I don't know. Or was it a rigged election?
I think every professional wrestler that knows him pretty much just said that's your name. And because in reality, in professional wrestling, you have people that are really literally everywhere. He's that guy. He is everywhere you could possibly think of, with top independent wrestling promotions all up and down the East Coast and all the way out to the West Coast.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He got he wears different hats in the business. He has his hands in a lot of cookie jars, and just like me, he's someone that you can reach out to for like if you need something or you need a contact, he might have it. And if he doesn't have it, he knows someone who probably knows someone who probably knows someone. Hey, we know some people. Hey, forget about it. So
it's so true. He really does know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. If you need a wrestling ring, everybody normally tags him in a post. If you need wrestling gear, he usually gets tagged in the post.
See, guys like him and myself, I usually go around and call myself the pro wrestling secretary, because somebody always tags me and reaches out to me, and I see his name get tagged out there too just as much as well. And it's like we have a Rolodex going on. It's like, oh, please leave me the hell alone. I'm trying to come up with ideas, the who can I contact, whatnot. And but you know what? We went through our Rolodexes trying to find people for the shows and this and that, and he was right there at the top of the list, hands down.
He was for me.
Down.
For my shows, like I'm always messaging people to figure out who would like come on. He is one of the top guys on my list. I have a list of people. I'm going through those lists, and little by little, I'm knocking everybody off that I actually want on the show, that I think benefit us to hear from them, and the fans benefit from hearing the things they've done throughout their entire career in professional wrestling and the things they're doing outside of wrestling. Because, outside wrestling is great, but there is a life outside of this business, and he's proved it. So
before we continue, we got a couple shout outs here. We got our man Mikey, the Better Bernard, the Saint Bernard, the Better Bernard,
Saint Bernard,
and his slap happy brother, the Gobbler, Mr. Frankie Frizzo, chiming in right there as well.
Hey, I'm not supposed. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I'm just saying, but a little birdie told me I'm in a bracket. Of
yes,
people. Did you get told too?
I got told. It wasn't. It's per se. It's like this birdie, he put us in the bracket, and now once this thing goes official,
I won't say nothing until it's officially posted. But
okay,
Chio, listen,
when it comes out, they got to vote for us. People got to vote for us.
Listen, Chio, listen. We've never faced each other, right? This will be the first. I don't know if we're going to go against each other, but this is the first time. And I'm just going to say this now. I'm going to lay the smack down on you. You're going down.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm going to welcome it with open arms, brother.
I bet
You're going down. I'm begging you, brother. I'm begging you.
But no, with all the joking put aside, listen, we're joking around. We're having a good old time, but let's just get the nitty gritty here and get to it.
All right. Before I head out and I kick myself into the control room, I'm going to tell everyone, if you're not following Body Slams podcast, please go to our.com. You see all of our social media is at the bottom there, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, follow us on Twitter, Instagram. I don't even think we got TikTok yet. I just started one, but whatever.
I can start one live right now.
You can go on, check out all the playlists of our previous shows for the interviews on Thursday Night Slam, as well as Breakfast of Body Slams, our morning show on Sundays at 11. As well, if you're on the go, if you're in the car, at the gym, you can check out our audio section. We were on Spotify, Apple iTunes, and a whole host of other audio platforms. But like I said, go over to bodyslamspodcast.com. Like, share, follow, subscribe, hit that notification button to find out when we are on. But you know what? Enough of me, enough about us. Let's get to the main man, our guest for today. I'm heading out of here. It's all yours, Dennis.
It's all mine,
brother.
It's my show now?
Yes. It's your show right now, and I'm out of here, brother. I'll see you at the end later on.
I'm flicking them away. It worked. All right. Well, since Chio's going to be backstage working the control room, he's going to work sound. He's going to make sure things are scrolling through the bottom. I just flicked them away. I'm even watching the cast on my cell phone here so I can see the comments. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and my honor to finally have somebody with so much gratitude and respect in this business and so much knowledge in this business. And I feel pretty kind of cool to say this, but the president of wrestling, Phil Stamper, is backstage. Now, whenever Chio decides to push him on through, it'd be amazing. Maybe? Is he here? Oh, look at that.
I was getting ready.
He was dropping the bomb. See, wrestlers can be nerds, and we love it. We like to play games. That was pretty kind of cool. I've never seen that happen now until today. Phil Stamper, literally, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on, man.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
Dude, I'm feeling amazing now after my week of having COVID-19. That sucked.
Yeah.
Was not fun. But I'm healthy. I got cleared. I'll say this. I have a new outlook on life now since having COVID. Okay. As crazy as that sounds, COVID can be dangerous. It can be very scary. I didn't know what was going to happen if I ever got it because I had health issues back in the days. So when I got sick, I was like, oh, I got a runny nose. I get this every year when it snows. So okay. And then I went to work on a Friday and had 102 fever all day and didn't know. And somehow didn't pass out, didn't collapse, nothing. That night I got home, I slept all night, woke up, broke it. Saturday, went to the doctor. They're like, we don't know how you made it through the day. First off, that was a high fever and you worked all day in construction. But yeah, you have COVID. It's like, all right. I knew it when I had the back pain that I'd never have. So,
okay.
Yeah, if you get COVID, there's a chance of you having lower back pain. And when I say it's worse than taking your first bump in wrestling for training, it's literally worse than the first bump in professional wrestling. It is not a fun back pain to have. But all seriousness, I literally have a new look in life that literally opened my eyes even more. So I've been back at work. I'm having fun. You know, I'm doing this. I'm getting to have you on the show. I've known you for 14 years, which is crazy to know that we've known each other 14 years. Even Chio making comments about MySpace. I think that's where I messaged you at, was through MySpace. I don't think it was through the website. I think it was through MySpace.
I think Pro Wrestling Unplugged had a MySpace. I'm pretty sure.
No, it did.
Because it was in that period of time where things were transitioning from MySpace to Facebook. So
yeah. Yep. This was like right before I went to the dungeon. I just moved back up here to PA, and I lived in Royersford. I was engaged with a young lady then. And I was like, I'm just going to message this random dude about going to a show if I could be security. And you were like, sure, show up.
Yeah.
I broke my cherry at the ECW arena as security. I don't care. You know, I got to meet a lot of cool guys because of you, too. You know, Trent Acid, God rest in peace. You know, Johnny Cashmere. I already knew Luke Hawk from back in the day from Florida, you know, SATs, Tremont. I mean, the list is like huge from the day that the people that you introduced to 14 years ago that I still know and still sometimes get to see throughout my career. You know, so again, thank you for that opportunity, because if it wasn't for you, you opened my eyes to independent wrestling that very moment.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Happy. I get to be security. And my first gig was to bring out a backboard for Todd Gordon that got laid out in the ring, and we couldn't find the backboard. So then we carried him.
I have this memory of that, like him all scrunched up in his suit. Like,
look, I just saw Todd Gordon at Icons, right? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about it. He was like, I don't think I ever laughed, but it was funny the fact that I'm laying there like, where's this backboard? They're supposed to bring me a backboard. Yeah, we couldn't find
I
it.
feel like it was under the ring the whole time and nobody knew.
No,
Like
they left it underneath the stage in the back, and no
okay,
one knew. They couldn't find it. So it was like, oh, okay. We're just gonna carry Todd Gordon in the back after he just died again.
As one does. As one does.
So Phil, not a lot of people know you and that are probably tuning into this, and I know you have a lot of fans that know you through your Facebook page because you always share shows that you're on. You make a calendar, literally a monthly calendar of shows all over the country, which no one does. No one does. You do this. You do all the footwork, the hard work to get this because there's no websites, there's no like podcasts that talk about the shows. So you do all the footwork. You post it every month. You give hey, here's what this is a temporary tag, but to give people a little rundown, let people know your background in professional wrestling and how you got started.
So I've been involved with wrestling for a long time. I started. So when I was in middle school, I was that kid that wrote to WCW and WWE like, why can't kids wrestle too? Like I was that guy. And I actually got a letter back from WCW. I got 2 letters back from WCW, and I got a phone call from the person who was the general manager of Global Wrestling Federation out of Texas at the time.
Wow.
And so that was, as a 12-year-old, 11-year-old kid, like that was really kind of cool. And in the letters from WCW, like they basically sort of a form letter-ish. Like I remember the first paragraphs were different, but the end of them were basically like, and you have to go get trained for pro wrestling. You typically have to be 18. Buy our book, How to Be a Pro Wrestler, which I did not do because I was 11 years old. What money do I have? And so I knew then, oh, there's training. Met somebody when I was like 14 who was getting trained. And it was like when I was graduating high school, oddly enough, when I graduated high school, I had pneumonia, which I'm just getting over now. Not COVID, but got it the old-fashioned way. And I was like, well, I can't jump right into training. I know I'm going to go to college. I'm paying for everything myself. Which direction am I going? So when I first started in wrestling, it was to work in the back because I couldn't pay for training. And to just highlight another reason why I couldn't, that was when like wrestling was in its like mecha phase of like, you heard wrestling's on, like, and millions of people every hour were watching wrestling. Like I won't say who, but when I had moved up to Pennsylvania at one point, the schools that were near me were like starting at $6,000 you had to pay for up front. And I was like, I don't have that money. Even at the point when I graduated college, I was like, I don't have that money. And so I eventually found a place to go train after I had already been working in the back. But by the time I'd been doing that, I competed in amateur wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and judo. So it was like I had some other athletic background going for me. And I got friendly with a lot of people in wrestling. So by the time I found training, I already had a little bit of a heads up knowledge about how the industry ran and how the business worked and how to network with people, and had networked already with some people. And so it kind of went from there. Oddly enough, what kind of got me to finally like, okay, I just need to go get trained, like let's do it, was a doctor had misdiagnosed me with a precancerous condition. I did not have it. But he misread something on a test, told me that the test was positive for this precancerous thing. And I was like, well, I don't know why. I have this memory of being like, oh, I'm going to be dead in 2 years. It's now or never. I don't think he ever said like, you're going to be dead in 2 years. Like no one said that, but in my brain. So I was like, okay, I have to do it now. And then 2 months go by and found out, oh, I just went off the images I saw, not the actual like tests I ran. And the tests I ran said, you don't have this. It's like, oh, okay. Well, now I'm trained. And it went to hell from there.
Wow. Okay. And I've known you long enough. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Like I remember you telling me when before we went down to North Carolina when we worked for the AWF, the Rage in a Cage, was it? I think.
Oh yeah. Deal in the Steel.
Deal in the Steel, and I didn't even know it was a cage match. And
Every
all I thought
match was a cage match.
Listen. All I thought was I was in a ladder match against you, TJ Cannon, and two other guys. And I call you the night before. I go, yo, dude, listen. When the hell did this become a cage match? You go, dude, it's been a cage match the entire 3 months that we've been going down, and every match is. I'm like, I didn't know this. I undercut myself on pay. Shit. And then I come down to you, and we were talking. We talked about the Sami Callihan situation, about the whole name situation, which that is still one of the highlights of a story. When I go to wrestling schools, I actually bring that conversation up because everybody's like, "Oh, you can go and be whatever name you want to be in WWE." I'm like, "No, you can't. No, I can tell you a story that's legit, and no, you know." They give you opportunities. If you don't come up with a name, they're going to give you something you don't like, and people think I'm BSing. And I've had someone say, "Oh, we talked to Sami Callihan. He says that's a true story." I know it is.
Right.
Why would he lie? I'm not saying everybody's going to tell you the truth, but I go, I'm not going to have the person that told me this isn't lying to me. So,
I mean, do we need to pull the Gunther card already? We've only been on the air.
That tells you it right there.
Come on, it's
literally
right there.
Dewdrop, or Dewdrop, or whatever it is. I'm just saying, the names can get changed instantly if Vince isn't. If you're not giving Vince any idea how to make your name work, unfortunately. And the Walter change, I know we're not trying to bring it up, but reality-wise, the Walter change just killed him. Sorry, this whole new name thing, and someone says it's a copyright thing, or it was hard to get it trademarked, and who knows? Give it a last name, and then you can trademark it. And then when you're on TV, just take the last name out. It's easy to do. It's legal still. But it's WWE, so things happen. So, we have a comment in the chat. CM Serini, just said it.
It would be him. It would be him. Serini.
He would do it, Mr. Ass Man.
I need the things, the piercings. I don't what is it called when they're here though? Because it's not like a nose ring or an ear. It's
they're not even. I don't even know if you want to call them lip rings or they're like snake bites, but they're coming out the under the lip.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I know I have friends that are piercers that might tune into this, and if they do, tell us what they are called on the underlip. If they're not snake bites, what are they? But no, that conversation, was hilarious. And then, you told me about the whole cancerous thing, and I was like, holy hell. And you're like, yeah, well, it was nothing anyway. So, oh, all right. That was the end of the conversation. We hung out. We talked for 3 hours, went to sleep, woke up, picked up TJ at the bus station, hung over from hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I had to go to Enterprise because
TJ was hungover from hell. We were good.
TJ Cannon was hungover from hell. Not us. We were sober. Me and Phil were smart because we had an 8-hour drive and had to wrestle a match inside a steel cage with a ladder and a piñata hanging above the ring. And we didn't want to die. So
I think I almost did in that ladder match, but
we all almost died because I was the dummy that was like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to climb to the top of the cage here during the match. I'm going to jump off and do a leg drop. And the first words out of your mouth are, did you bump in the ring yet? I'm like, no, we should be all right. I bumped and I was like, there's going to be a game day decision on this idea.
Right.
And then I get to the top of the cage and I look down going, no, I'm not doing it. Not happening. I accidentally bust the one kid open because, I did the Rolling Thunder with the ladder on him and he didn't protect himself properly. And it was like, what are you doing? And then we get told he's getting X'd. And then the kid gets back in the match.
Yeah.
And then I let the other guy win. I literally held the ladder. I was like, you know what? Just go up. I'll hold the ladder for you, man. Screw it. I didn't care. My knee buckled on me. You almost died. The kid got busted open. That was a fun day.
And I want to be clear. I think that match was, if it wasn't semi-main, it was the match before semi-main. And I got asked.
I think it was semi.
I got asked to do commentary for the main, and meanwhile, I am literally my body still felt like it was vibrating. I took a coast to coast with a chair on the side of my body, And I remember just that feeling of like, I'm buzzing right now, and not in like a good, like adrenaline, like, oh wow, positive energy. Like, wow, I got rung. And here I am on commentary, like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, oh my God, dude. Like, and I was in the back and I was talking to, like, I got a Charlie horse right now that really sucks out of nowhere, like in my hamstring. So I'm like trying to stretch my leg out, which is the worst thing to happen.
I'm not laughing at you.
Oh, I'm laughing at myself because this is like I'm sitting in a couch and randomly just get a Charlie horse just sitting down, not doing anything. But I remember I was in the locker room and I'm talking to the guy that did, he was, can't think of his name, and I have him on Facebook. We're great friends. He was doing like he almost was like Mick Foley.
Oh my gosh, why did my not
something Foley? His last name is Foley on Facebook.
Dick Foley.
There it is. Yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey man, how's your leg feel? Looked like it hurt." I'm like, "I can't feel my leg. That's about it. I can't feel my leg."
Yeah.
And like TJ comes in and he's laughing. And I'm like, "What are you laughing at?" He goes, "I thought you died." I'm like, "No, that's Phil. Phil died. I haven't seen Phil yet. Where is Phil?"
Right.
And then like he's on commentating. I'm like, "Hold on, what?"
Yeah.
We just left the cage match.
AIWF, like for some of its foibles at times, was the place where like I found literally like my voice in wrestling. Like I'd done commentary before, but hadn't been really given the grace to do a lot of promo work. And AIWF was like, sure, go for it. And I did it. And it never stopped. But that was a place, not that event that we were both at, but another one of their shows. It's right before the start of the event, or what's supposed to be, but we're stalling because the main event isn't there yet. So it's like, okay, like we just need to kill time. And I'm like randomly walking by the curtain. I had no intention of doing anything. And the promoter grabs me and is like, Phil, I need you to go out there and cut a promo. I'm like, okay, what on? Like, what do you need? And he goes, well, we're stalling for the main event. So-and-so's not here. Go out there and just cut a promo. Okay, like how long? Like 10, 12 minutes.
Was that Rick? Was it Rick or Tim that said it to you?
It was Rick. Tim's accent was not that pronounced. And I was like, okay, sure. And I was like, when do you want me to do it? He's like, right now. And I'm like, okay. I see a broom next to me. I see one of the trainees, Jacob, who's now an active competitor down in the North Carolina area, Jacob Ryan. And I was like, Jake, you need to just listen for your name. Trust me.
Yes.
Went to the ring with this broom. I cut this promo, start talking. I don't remember what all I said for like 5 or 6 minutes. And then I get Jake in the ring to clean the ring out, because how dare you have me and anybody compete in this ring so dirty?
I remember watching the videos of this.
Yeah.
Because I love Jacob. Jacob's a great kid. Right. And it's like someone shared it. It was so good. That was funny.
I antagonized him so hard because I wanted him to respond. And I was like, he was doing his best. He was doing like the good job of like, I'm the trainee being told what to do. Like, I'm not going to do anything. And I was like, I'm going to poke him. I'm going to see what happens if I just keep poking. And he finally had it and like grabbed the broom and like threw it down in front of me and walked away. And I was like, that was perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. And I was like, we just killed 12 minutes of time. Yes.
Yeah. Cause I remember when we went down there for the cage match, we got there and we wanted to work out, and it was him and James.
Mm-hmm.
They were working out, and then we got in, and they both leave, and James is like, Jacob, where are you going? He goes, getting out of the ring. No, watch what they're doing and listen to them.
Yeah.
Pick their brains. These three know what they're doing. They're in this match for a reason. Oh, okay. And then Rick gets in there and is working out with them. And it was like the funniest shit ever. Like, we're watching the kid do the back bump. We're like, ooh. No, don't do that. Don't put your leave elbows here, man.
Right.
And like now he's wrestling everywhere.
Right. I was like, that's not a fault of who he is now at all. Like that was
no. When you're new, you're new.
Yeah.
But it was so funny when James was like, yeah, telling the kid, no, stay in the goddamn ring.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But
like I remember and kind of because of Jacob too, there was one of the Crazy 8 tournaments I meet this another competitor named Jason Collins. He's a wrestler out of Georgia. He comes up to me before the event. We say hi, and I'm in the ring with Jacob working out with him, and I'm in there maybe like after Jason says hi. I'm in there like 10 minutes, and then Jason goes like, "Hey, Phil, can I talk to you for a minute?" And I was like, "Sure." He goes, "I want to tell you, I thought you and I were going to have problems." I was like, "What?" He goes, and I'd never met the man. I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, I watched your promo and I believed every single word you said to me, and I thought I was gonna hate your ass. Like I wanted to kill you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, awesome." And he goes, "But I see you working with this kid. Like I know where you're at. Like I see like I totally got worked. Yay."
Was those AIWF shows in the
curved
curved tin bin?
No.
No.
At
They
least not
were
the ones we were on. No.
Yeah, the ones the first AIWF show I did was right before I think the first or the second Crazy 8 tournament that I was on. So we were in the Mount Airy Armory.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of their shows were at, was the Armory.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a phenomenal venue. Like, it was a great spot, had plenty of parking.
Right.
Just fans really couldn't find the venue some days. But it was in Mount Airy where Andy Griffin was from, so it was kind of cool.
Right.
You can go down, wrestle, and go look at freaking new Mayberry. Like,
yeah,
cool. I'm gonna go to the jail cell that Andy Griffin was in for all these years and be cool. But no, I never knew of it being in the curved tin barn. That might have been another venue down there.
I mean, and AIWF did travel. Like they had that regular venue that we worked in Mount Airy, and now they're in a different venue in Mount Airy. I haven't been down there now, and
I haven't been down there in a long time. Like I was booked before, right after I had the knee injury. When I had it got scoped, I got cleared to wrestle, so I got booked on the AIWF Crazy tournament when it was in Pittsburgh or Ohio. It was one of those two.
Yeah,
and then my incision swelled up. So I had to back out, and then they were like, "Oh well, they wanted me to ref under ref, and then wrestle under a hood. You booked me to wrestle, and now you want me to ref? Okay, no big deal, I will." But the incision thing happened. I was like, "Look, I'm not clearing myself because that's not normal." Unfortunately, I had an infection underneath the incision, so I had to actually have them drained a little bit, that was painful too. Never want to get needles into my incisions ever again for injuries. That was not fun. But no, I love AAWF. I would work for them again if they would ever have another show that I wanted to be on. I'd love to work on down there.
Though after I saw Chio's question, I started to think like weird venues, and unfortunately, it's also AIWF. We're talking a lot about AIWF more than I really meant to, but. The weirdest venue or locker room, I should say, that I've ever been in was we had gone to another armory. This one I think was in Virginia, and there's like a legit locker room, but this building was built like in World War II, so a very older area part of the building, and there's like the gang shower area.
Yeah,
the bathroom in the locker room was in the shower area, so open to everybody to see, and it's literally a toilet next to where the spout is for the shower. And I'm like, this is the weirdest. No cover, no curtain, no walls, just gang shower area, middle of shower is toilet installed in floor. I was like, this can't be real. And I flushed it going, oh my God, this is a legit working toilet in the middle of an open gangplay. It was the weirdest thing. Has anyone ever tried to take liberties with you being a smaller size wrestler? So
bad idea if they do.
So my good dear friend Chance Prophet, God love him. He didn't try. Let me be clear. Like he didn't try.
Okay, well, I was about to say, dude.
But so I started wrestling for a company down in West Virginia. He introduced me to everybody. And I remember my first day there, somebody was like, "Hey, Phil, I heard you do shoot wrestling. Do you want to roll a little bit?" I was like, "Sure." And I proceeded to trounce everybody in that locker room 3 times over. And event after event like that would happen. And like 6 months down the road, so I was rolling with somebody, and I was like, I don't I like to roll. Like it's cool. I was like, why does everybody ask me? And he goes, "So Chance told us that you were from the North and that things were different up there, and that if we messed up in the ring with you, you would kill us. And so we were testing you to see if you could actually back it up. And I was like, oh my God. And I did trounce all of them. And I felt bad because I was like, oh my gosh, all of these guys think like I'm this monster, like ready to be unleashed at any moment. And I was like, but at the same time, I backed it up. So like in one weird way, I gained a lot of respect from people very fast that
also
I probably
was
wouldn't have
scared
had.
of you very fast as well.
Right. Oddly enough, like I don't think anybody's ever really tried for me being small. Like there's
Yeah.
other things that have happened because, oh, you're a shorter guy. I've been in the business longer than you, anything like that. I seen a pic with you and Bruce Gray when he was a ref. Yes. Oh my gosh. Ref Bruce Gray was the best ref in professional wrestling. I love Bryce Remsburg. Not the best ref in professional wrestling when Bruce Gray was a ref in professional wrestling. Bruce Gray is also legitimately colorblind, so he was a blind referee. He sold shirts that had like had like a cartoon of him on the front, I think, that said like the colorblind ref Bruce Gray, and on the back had 1, 2, 3 in like the colorblind test dots. So he couldn't see the colors, but you could. It was amazing. I love the shirt.
Okay, and I need to find this shirt. I need that.
Yeah.
Like I need this shirt.
And now Bruce Gray is like phenomenal. Like he's in amazing in-ring conditioning. He's an active competitor out in he's from the Ohio area, but he's traveling all over. Is a regular like H2O in New Jersey. So like love Bruce Gray to death.
Yeah. I got to meet a lot of cool guys while working with Mad Mar Entertainment. See, now Chio's just chiming in. He's just like,
right.
This is where I'm getting to have fun. Because, again, you and Chio go back a lot farther than me and you. But me and you go back 14 years. So, like, there's so much, again, history with just us because we have PWU, ACW from Twisted Tate when you were up there. There's the AIWF. And then any other show that Outbreak Wrestling.
Yeah.
You know. That I did not know you were going to be at that one day. And it was such an exciting moment for me because I walked in and I saw you walk out. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I know every time Phil's on a show, he posts where he's going to be.
I went up with somebody, but it was random. Like I wasn't expected to be there. I wasn't planning on being there. I tried to get on it and was told no. So I just like went up with somebody to hang out. And then they were like, hey, do you want to, did I do ring? I think I did ring announcing for part of the event. So like, do you want on? I was like, sure. I think I did ring announcing and maybe commentary. Maybe just.
I think you did both.
But yeah, and so like I would love to come back up to Outbreak. I loved Outbreak.
Oh, I have so much fun with the Outbreak stuff. Now they had me on commentating one of their last shows, and I'm like, yeah, that was fun. But it was weird because I was taking photos at the show too.
Yeah.
So I was going back and forth from doing ringside photography and commentating, and it was like. Okay, the matches that I knew people wanted me to talk on, I stayed up at the commentating. But matches that I knew, like when Keikoa and Ricky Reyes face each other, I made it pretty clear I'm being at ringside to take photos.
Yeah,
that's a match that I want to make sure I get the money shot for. And I got a lot of good shots. Those two guys both love the photos. But so you've been in wrestling for a very long time. You've literally are the president of wrestling. We were joking before the show why you're not calling yourself the president of professional wrestling because some people want to be schmucks and try to do legal battle BS in wrestling anymore.
On my side, like the president of wrestling is copyrighted. I filed for a trademark, like that's mine. And then somebody else came out with I'm the president of pro wrestling, and I was like, hey buddy, you can't do that. Actually, to back up even another step, how do I word this? So somebody I know on television made a hint about running for an office and said something in a promo on television about like maybe he could be the president, I think, of this place. I don't think he said very clearly president of wrestling, but there was like the intonation of it was there. And like I sort of like, hey, I've copyrighted that. Just tidbit. And so this other person who was like, I'm the president of pro wrestling. I'm like, can't really do that. And so now he started to do, I'm the vice president of professional wrestling. And I'm like, okay, you do you, Bo. Like, whatever. and he was like, I'm going to challenge you in court for it. I'm like, okay.
You can, but it's mine. So
right, I'm ready. And I don't even think he's involved in wrestling anymore. Thank God.
We can talk about who that is after the show, because we can keep names off this, unfortunately. Because
I'm being good. I'm being really good today.
Exactly. Listen, I've brought up plenty of times about my AIWF, and I know we weren't planning to talk about that a lot, but that's where a lot of our stuff were really at when me and you worked together, and stuff. But I worked the very first that Crazy 8 tournament was with Cedric Alexander, and someone took advantage of me. And please shoot Phil. Oh, so he wants Phil Stamper to shoot up on this show.
I thought he was like, please shoot Phil. Like,
no, he wants you to shoot.
I mean, depends on who we get to.
Yeah, there's a lot of people we could probably shoot on in this business on this thing. And Phil probably has a lot of names he could shoot on.
I mean, that's the one good thing. Like, I've always tried to keep a decent rapport with most people. Like, there are literally probably maybe there are 3 people that instantly come to my brain that I'm like, I just want nothing to do with.
Yeah.
And just like, I'm okay that they're there and I'm here. Like, that's fine. But everybody else, it's like, and sometimes when I've told people like, yeah, I don't think I really get along with that person, they're like, really? Like, why?
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's some people that I don't get along with, and people are like, but they're so great. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know the backstory or the reasons why I don't like this person. And no offense, I'm not going to share that. That's between me and them. That's a beef. If we're on a show together, I'm going to be professional. I'm going to shake their hand. I'm going to say hi. Other than that, don't want nothing to do with you outside this place.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of them. I have like a list of people that I literally go, if I'm on the show and they're all on it, I'll probably not do the show because it'll be a conflict for all parties involved and the experience won't be very well. I don't want to go somewhere to where my mood might be altered and my performance might lack, or it might get in the way of what we're all trying to do. And no one benefits from it. The show doesn't, the fans don't, I don't, that person don't. So I always try to stay away from those situations as best I can now. In the beginning, I didn't care. Like Shio knows I'm probably going to drop this name, and I say it a lot. I can't stand a gentleman named Ray Torres. That is the biggest dirtball ever to grace this professional wrestling
I'm not a fan
world.
of his either. I don't hate him. I'm just not a fan of him.
Oh, I hate him. Yeah. I hate him. I think he's a scum.
I remember I worked for him one time. And I remember when I got there, I was going to do commentary with Maven Bentley. And Maven's like, yeah, last time he forgot to book referees. I was like, okay. And then sure enough, he came up to me and was like, hey, Phil, I don't have a ring announcer tonight. Can you double as ring announcer and commentary? I was like, okay. I'm used to that because that happens sometimes. And so, night goes forward, go to get paid what I was promised. Like, it's not like, I asked for something extra more than, I didn't ask for something extra because I also did ring announcing. It was like, no, this is what I agreed to. And I said, yes, that I do ring announcing for you. Like, I'm okay. And went to the back, he tried to undercut me and was like, there's these people who came up from another state are getting paid less than you. And I was like, well, I'm glad I worked a better deal than they did. And I'm from another state. Like,
yeah. Look, the last time I worked for him, I wasn't even going to go to I was only stopping in and say hi to some of the boys. And he's like, he was like, hey, you're not on the show. I'm like, no, I know that. I go, I came to say hi to some of the boys. I was there. I said, so I think Chio was doing the ring at that time, or maybe somebody else did. It might have been, I can't really remember who.
Yeah.
I just know I stopped in. And then Ed House showed up. And this is my very first match at this day. Well, haven't had my first match back yet since the knee surgery. And he's like, hey, I actually have a spot if you want it. It's you versus Ed House. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. $40. I go, but I need half now. He goes, okay. Hands me $20 up front. Ed House wasn't booked on the show either. Ed brought his gear in. I left mine in the car. I always know, bring your gear bag just in case. We did our match. We get to the locker room. We go to leave. Ray tries to leave. They're like, hey, you still owe me $20, man. He's like, but you weren't booked on the show. I go, I get that. But you asked me if I wanted to work. I did. I told you $40. You shook my hand on it. You gave me 20 in advance. I still need 20. It's not my fault. you had 5 paying customers. Not my problem.
And
So,
but you know, because and I'll be honest, you know, that's not the only situation I've ever had like that in professional wrestling. Like, and you learn how to deal with it. Like, and oddly enough, like in my life outside of wrestling, in my office life, like I've had similar situations where it's like, this is the agreement, and this is what you're going to have to do, and this is what, like, okay, you just have to outline it. Like it's a business like any other, and you have to hold your own sometimes. But without some of those lessons, you might not be able to advance.
Yes. 100%. Like when I was younger, when I was first in the business, I didn't know any better. You know, I undercut myself so many times on shows and bookings. I didn't know how to price myself. I didn't know how do I price myself to drive 8 hours and the wrestle a show. That stuff you don't get taught in wrestling because that's something you need to learn yourself. You need to know what your worth is. You know, now I tell promoters, look, anything within a 2-hour window, it's $100. You know, if you say, hey, I can't really afford that, I could afford like 60, I'll be like, you know what? Okay.
Right.
I'll make it I'll make up that $40 on the merchandise sale. Whatever. If you work with, if you upfront with me, I'm upfront with you. Like if I'm at a show and the promoter goes, hey, I have half now. My goal is to get you the rest of it prior, after the show. They come up to me during the show and say, hey, listen, it's a really light house. I want to make sure everybody gets paid. I'll be like, make sure you pay everybody. And if there's a little extra afterwards, take care of me. If not, get me on the next gig. You know, I'll work with them if they let me know way in advance instead of trying to dip on the building. Like, then I'm gonna be like, not my problem. And that's happened. Like you said, you've had it happen. I've had it happen. I don't know if that situation's ever popped up to where, they've come to you during the show going, I don't know if I can pay you the rest of your money. Hot dog and a handshake. Yeah. I've done some of them.
I mean, I've had promoters who left their own events before the end of their events.
Were you at the one? And it was like a stack card. I think it was somewhere in PA. To where they went to the promoter's house.
Oh, not that one. No, I know now. I know what you're talking about, but I wasn't at that one. But I knew of another promoter who had a stack card that had come up from North Carolina, and because I had an experience with him in North Carolina doing the same thing, like and running off, like I didn't do the show in actually because I asked for money in advance and he didn't pay me, so I'm like, well, why am I going to go?
Yeah.
And I want to say they still had the event. Only because I want to say like Tommy Dreamer was there and he's like, no, people are here. We're going to do a show. But I was not at that one.
Yes, dude. Tommy Dreamer and all them were sharing it live on the book about that.
Yeah.
Like, and it was crazy. So all I heard someone in the background go is, we have his address. We're going to his F's house and we're going to get our money or we're going to kick his ass. I'm like, can you guys keep this live and show us?
Yeah.
Like that promoter does it. And then, there's a lot of promoters that are like that. Like, soon as the door cut is done, they're out. They'll roll. They don't care. They made their money. They paid some of the boys, so they can't say, "Oh, no one got paid." Some of them, no, I paid everybody.
I mean, one of the lessons I first learned in training was, if you can't afford to get there and back, you shouldn't go. Because you don't know what might happen if a promoter bails, something flakes, something goes weird. Like you got to be able to deal with it. I mean, this last weekend for a lot of people was a great example. In half the country, in a horrible snowstorm and ice storm, couldn't get to their places or sometimes got stranded on the side of the road. It's like, well, if you can't get to the event, you're not going to get paid. If the event can still happen because the fans can show up, so you never really know what might happen. You just have to be ready.
Yeah. Like there's plenty of times I get a promoter will message me, and I know you probably do the same thing. They'll say, hey, we would like you on the show. Do you ever go onto MapQuest with their address and see the distance right away before responding and agreeing to the booking? Or do you already go, here's my fee no matter what for for this kind of gig?
Kind of what you said too. Like I have a little bit of a sliding scale that I work with based on, everything, where it is, what do you want me to do? Just all sorts of different associations with it. For me, I'm fortunate too that I have a gig outside of wrestling that so that can help me at the same time. Wrestling's paying its own way. This isn't a charity. This is still a business. And I remember when I didn't have my other job, that wrestling was my only job, And I remember there was a promoter in Virginia, and I was like, okay, it's going to be X. And he's like, well, I don't know if I can do that. And I was like, then you literally can't have me, because I have no money to get there. I have no money to get back. So if I go, like, I'm completely relying on you to pay me to get there and back. And he was like, you know what? I respect that I can't do it this time, but next event I have you. And he did. So
yeah, no, I've had that happen. I told the promoter, look, I can't afford to go back and forth and spend the night at a hotel.
Right.
And they were like, we'll do this. We can pay you half and cover your night at the hotel.
Yeah.
If you can come down. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, that works. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Those are the promoters I love, because they're like, you know what? You're willing to come down here, and you're very honest with that. You can't really afford it. We'll put you up for a night. And that's very rare that promoters are willing to put you up for a night. Now, those are good promoters. Yeah, I got my girl just showed up with a smoothie.
Oh, you're good.
And Reese's.
Like,
I didn't even ask.
I love
for
how
the
you, like,
Reese's.
your hand went off screen and you came back and there's a smoothie, and you went off hand and there's a Reese's. I'm like, how did you do that?
Magic, Phil.
I love
Magic.
it. Love it.
The bearded raven flew. Why sitting here still and got?
Like,
I live next to Turkey Hill.
A baby bird that comes out from under the beard and flies.
Flew out of the beard. And catering. Yes, it is catering, but the thing is, the caterer is a beautiful woman that I love. So
crafty.
It is very. She likes D&D, so there's some magical spells she probably has in her game that she can come up with, and magically stuff floats into the screen. But
something Chio said is very true. Like, he was like, and I'm gonna paraphrase, your friends with the promoter helps the decision.
Yes, that does help.
And right, that tremendously helps. And I mean, it tremendously helps, because then they're gonna look out for you too. And just like any other business in the forsaken world, like, it's always good to know the person who might be your boss, you know, and to build a good rapport and relationship with them. Because there will always be an emotional connection to a decision that somebody makes based on you. Positive or negative. And so why not work towards the positive? And even if it does have to be negative for whatever reason, like, hey, we can't use you this event. Okay, they might not use you this event, but they might use you next time, where might have a sudden need. Like, let's work this out.
Throughout, changing it up a little bit, throughout your entire career, if you could pick out, say, 2 of your favorite memories or moments in wrestling, and 2 of your worst moments in wrestling, what would they be?
Wow. I mean, in general, like, I mean, and what people, like, don't get sometimes when they look at people in professional wrestling is like, oh, that's your side thing. And I'm like, no, like, this is my job. Like, independent wrestling is my job. I know people. Okay, Chio wants me to say working with Chio.
He's just trying to get brownie points with you, man. He wants to be the secretary for you.
We went down that path, and that didn't quite work, did it?
Like, Chio wants to be your bitch.
Working with Chio was fun. Like, I will say that. Like, the times I had, like, I went up to Grand Slam Wrestling up in Pennsylvania, and Chio was a regular there. I was a regular there, and like, there were so many people that I was just friends with, and so, like, there was a mix of talent of people who had traveled to Japan and people who were, like, brand new out the gate, and it's like, and so many people that I knew from my own past. So it was a really cool mix of people, and at the same time, I worked a deal with them to do events, because at the same time I was working for CZW that was running on the same nights, but CZW was doing me dirty. So I raised my price ridiculously for CZW. I was getting paid by CZW to not go to their physical events, and I was taking that money basically to go to GSW.
That's some crazy shit.
And I mean, I remember even one of the nights we had our, oh my gosh, what was the tournament called? We had a tournament, and it was the same night as Best of the Best at CZW. And I'm cutting promos about the best tournament in professional wrestling on the East Coast tonight. And while I'm getting paid by CZW to go to this other place. So, and I was getting paid, like, I was getting paid nice. I think I was at the time the second highest paid person at CZW to not work on an event.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even want to know what the price tag was at that point, because if you're the second highest person on the show,
yeah,
and I know who's worked CZW at the time that you were there, the names on that roster, that's big.
Now, to be
That is
clear,
not
like when I started at CZW, I did not get that. That came over time. But I mean, but very long story short, I mean, and I eventually there was a point where I did go back, and then there was a point I was like, I'm done with all this. Like, this is not where I need to be.
I think I was messaging you about those too. I was like, hey, I might come out. You're like, yeah, I'm not there no more.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm like, oh, well, then I'm not going out now. Because I was trying to get my feet wet. That's when I actually that was when I had the knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get my feet wet with doing the refereeing or the commentating. And you said anytime you were up in PA, if you're nearby, to let you know, you'll talk to them about getting me on commentating so I get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were like, I'm not coming up, I was like, all right, well, then I'm not going.
Right.
There's no point for me to go if the person that I'm going there to meet and hang out with and learn off of isn't going to be at the venue for me to be able to even do any good.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the thing. And even today, like, I do have fond memories of some things at CZW. Like, there a lot of people I still hang out with. Like, I had known Sammy Callahan for a long time, even before CZW, but like CZW was like probably when him and I became good friends, and like other people too. Like, things that happened at CZW were organizational in or the lack of organization.
Yeah.
That finally just made it such a detriment to be there. And I've I mean, but at the same time, and again, from that lesson, I sort of learned, like, you have to value your own worth, regardless of what you're getting paid. If you're not being used or utilized in the way you think you should be, or if you're being misused or however you feel you might be disregarded, you need to listen to that voice, because it's just going to eat away and eat away and eat away. And I probably took it a lot longer than I needed to. And finally, I was like, this is it. I'm done. And it's funny because they're one of those three people in wrestling that I'm like, I just don't want to be near this person ever.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, one of them. Well, yeah, maybe that's one of them.
Yeah.
But somebody else doesn't want to associate with me because I worked at CZW, and I'm like, but yeah, I worked there when you did. Like, I didn't.
Really?
And it's weird. So
that's
what are some of the companies that you're working currently? I cannot read today. What are some of the companies that you are currently working on a regular basis?
That was my next question, Gio, too. Next question.
I'm at MCW Pro Wrestling that primarily runs out of Maryland, but also has events in Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Virginia. Their general manager. At IWA East Coast that runs primarily out of West Virginia. I'm their general manager. I have Ignite out of Florida, where I do commentary, ring announcing. Pro Wrestling Revolver is honestly, it's my favorite place. Which runs out of Iowa and Ohio. Love Wrestling Revolver, and I've been able to really like push myself to a different place with them that I didn't expect, because if you look at the roster of that place, it's a whole lot of people who are on national TV right now, international TV, and me and a couple of other people. And it's like, so I respect the fact that I earned that spot to be there. And so I really enjoy my time there. I am now the assistant executive vice president of Wrestling Revolver, and lead a team called The Unit, which involves JT Dunn, Larry D from Impact Wrestling, and Tyler Matrix and Logan James.
Wow.
And so it is definitely a force to be reckoned with, as is Wrestling Revolver.
That's crazy.
Do you ever get a Karen gimmick asking to speak to the company's general manager? No, okay, no, but the best moment I've ever had, one of the best moments I've ever had in professional wrestling, because like I find myself, like, even in the moment, if I'm going to laugh about something that's happening and I shouldn't be laughing, I will use that energy and make it work for me in the moment. The only time I just couldn't control it, I'm in the ring at MCW, and over the speaker as I'm talking, I get interrupted. All I hear, "Excuse me," and I lose it. It was Vicky Guerrero. And I'm like, that happened. She cut a promo, and I'm sitting there like I am grinning like an idiot from ear to ear. And I didn't realize in the ring like how that was going to hit me. And so like I just took it in the moment. I just lived it. I was like, I can't push back and be like,
yeah,
you're evil Vicky, because this was awesome. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those feel good. What at the same time, like I have to stay in character.
right.
I can't really do much.
I ruined the character in that moment, but it was just a great moment.
Yeah.
But I still use it. I got out what needed to happen, and I was like, that is an excellent idea. Why don't we do whatever we were going to do? Let's make this a tag match. I don't remember. But I mean, yeah, you just got to roll with the punches sometimes.
You really do. I know Chio said working him was your favorite thing. So I'm not going to go with that question next. If you had to pick 5 wrestlers, right? Up and coming wrestlers or guys that, deserve a little bit more spotlight on them, that are rising stars that haven't been seen, what would their name, who are they, and where are they, where are they out of?
Wow. Okay. So what makes that question really hard is you have people who are currently on national television who aren't seen but are also taking indie bookings right now. Like, people like Trey Miguel and Ace Austin are like amazing to watch. So, but it's hard to be like, well, they're underutilized. I don't think they're necessarily underutilized. They have they're in an amazing spot right now. So it's like, like one of the cool things, like with Trey, for example, is when I first met Trey, I remember feeling like, wow, he has like this amazing potential. And every time I saw him, he got better. And the next time I saw him, he got better. And the next time I saw him, he gets better. And it's like he continues to get better. It's like you haven't seen maxed out Trey Miguel yet.
No.
And so that's what's been amazing to see. So like if you forget everybody who's currently on television and go then to everybody else, that's where then it starts getting difficult, because I know I'm going to leave somebody out. You have your guys like some people who have a little bit of prominence in independent wrestling right now. People like a Cole Radrick, people like a Ken Dixon, people like, of course, like 5 names just hit my brain all at once. And I'm like, I love the tag team out of Maine called MSP. I think their Twitter is MSP is the vibe. You need to check them out. Like they're an amazing tag team. But even today, like I don't want to. Maybe I shouldn't, because like there's somebody that I've started to work with that's helped out in the back at Revolver. He's a younger wrestler who's actually being trained by Ace Austin, now that I think about it. And I gave him feedback on a match today, and I was like, bro, like you have this look, you have this amazing ability, like you're almost there, but you're still green, like you're still learning. And so I don't want to say his name because I just also called him green. But like that's the amazing thing for me, is watching people who haven't done everything and been there, that they have still that potential to get better and continue to improve, and you can see it.
I love IB Green, aka Rob Cook. Right. By the way, Rob Cook, I hope you're doing well. Because he was doing he went to do some recovery for some drinking, which I have mad love and respect for. That takes a huge step. The same thing with Moxley. It's huge when they make it public that they need to go to rehab. Yeah. And I know he was home. I know IB Green was just home, I think, the other day for the first time.
Oh, cool.
And he's actually speaking out about his demons, and this is what's going on. Much love and respect for him. I hope he stays healthy and gets better and does anything he can do to for his family. But I love IB Green. That name just popped up, and I just smiled because it's like the biggest. We don't care about cursing. The biggest asshole on a microphone, because he will make you hate yourself when he's trashing you in the ring on the microphone. He makes you hate your own self. You're like, he's actually right. I am a shitty wrestler. My gear is from Payless. Like that's how good he was on the microphone. He is on the microphone. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't like belittle you. He just makes fun of your wrestling and your gear. If he really doesn't like you, he will make you actually probably want to actually fight him. Mm-hmm. But he's one of those gift the gabs on those mics.
Yeah, I mean, and I have a good fortune that I can travel a little bit, and I am traveling a little bit, so I can see talent in like different areas of the country. So like I can see a Jaden Newman in Tennessee and be like, wow, I like this guy, or a Chance Reiser and Patrick Scott out of North Carolina and Mason Miles. Or I can go down to Florida and see guys like Aaron Nova or Leon Scott and be like, wow, like I would really want to hang out with these dudes. Like, yeah, or Rob Martyr, Akira out of Indiana. Like, there's so many people and there's so much talent that's
like,
out there right now.
It really is hard to pick 5. That's why I asked that number, because I was like, I know there isn't a 5.
Right.
The list is
Matt Mikowski,
never ending. It's
like,
never ending.
How about, okay, this is what I'll pull this bit right now. If you are a television company and you have not considered Matt Mikowski, you are stupid. Like, he is literally one of the best wrestlers in the world today. Book it.
Now you're gonna have to message me his name, and I'm gonna literally look it up. I will see Robert Martyr.
Oh, really?
Saturday.
Chio, where are you gonna see Robert Martyr at? I mean, I like Robert Martyr. I think he's getting an interesting buzz on him. I mean, he's back on the Indies, but Anthony Henry's back on the Independents now, and he's amazing.
The thing that's crazy, I miss Anthony Henry getting let go. I didn't even know he was released until he posted it somewhere. I'm like, what the hell? When?
Yeah.
Now I'm talking to him about getting him on here, and the one thing I say, what holds people back from doing this, they expect it to be a shoot, and I tell them, I go, look, not a shoot at all. I go, if you want to shoot, go for it. That's up to you. I go, but fans really just want to hear things like, the one thing that, I know you do with outside of wrestling, you do a lot of, acting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I haven't seen you post much lately. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to say, hey, what movies or shows you're working on, because you haven't posted much.
Right.
But I know you have that. Like, in wrestling, that helps. Like, I'm waiting, I got selected to be in a movie out my way, and I'm one of the main characters. And we were supposed to film, and now we haven't filmed yet for me to be in my scenes. And I'm like, I have my script. I'm reading my script. I know my script sort of, but I can't do line reads with my other co-star because he lives in Jersey, and he's a bouncer and a bartender. So like my schedule and his never work at all. So like we've talked on the phone and work it back and forth, but it's like I'm ready to film this. Dude, I'll say this. I got told to go to an audition for a one line read. That was the only part they wanted me to there for. I get up and the director goes, hey, curveball, I want you to read something else. Okay. Now in wrestling, we're all taught to be prepared for anything on the fly.
Yeah.
Especially, like you said, you got told by down south that here's the microphone. You have 10 minutes. Go kill it. So I knocked out this reading. He goes, hey, I want you to do the line readings with this guy over here. And we destroyed it. Like, we worked on it for like 15 minutes outside so we can get used to each other's tone and how our speed is and body language, and knocked it out. And I literally messaged the director saying, thank you for the opportunity. Hopefully, I did you well. And he goes, yeah, you're the main character, one of the main characters now.
Awesome.
What? I went there for our one word, one line. That was it. Now I have like 300 lines and I'm in 90% of this movie. Okay, cool.
It's so weird. Like, I love acting. I love doing it. And I will say, since the pandemic, I've done some voiceover work, but I haven't done a lot of like actual like on camera work outside of wrestling. And I miss it. I miss it a lot. But like, I remember one of my favorite acting experiences was an audition I was on that I didn't get cast for. And it was, and you're going to love it because it wasn't for a film role. It was for a live event. It was for, oh my gosh. What is the Baltimore horse race? Is it Pimlico?
I think so.
Oh my gosh, my brain.
I'm not a horse. I'm not a horse person, but I know what you're talking about. The horse race is in Baltimore,
right? I'm looking at it's Pimlico. Okay, so they have an infield fest every year, and they have a host, and the host is a centaur named Pegasus. And they were like, so I don't get the script in advance. So they give it to me when I'm there, and they're like, okay, we're gonna give this to you. We're finishing up another audition for a different role. Prepare to read this. I'm gonna give you a hint that you need to make us at least smile because you're a friggin' centaur in the middle of Infield Fest. If you don't make us laugh or chuckle or have an emotion, you shouldn't be here. And I was like, okay, fine. I went in and I thought, I was like, I nailed this. Like I don't remember the rest of everything I had to say, but I remember like I just had to belt out, like I'm in a house with other people right now, so I'm like I can't be super loud, but I was just like, oh hell Pegasus. And I remember that was part of it. And then I just went, like I had memorized it in like 20 minutes because it was maybe 10 lines long, and I just belted it. And they're like, that was amazing. Like they did that. Like I was like, the feedback I got in that moment, I was like, that's exactly what I need. And they were like, and the casting director, the lead, like she tried to like stay composed, and she's like, okay, so again, I said this to you outside. You're supposed to be a centaur in the middle of Infield Fest, which is a big drunken festival in the middle of a horse race. So since you're going to be a centaur, I need you to take your shirt off. I was like, okay, and I just start unbuttoning my shirt, and she's like, you're okay doing that? And I was like, yeah, like I do professional wrestling. It's totally fine. And I do it again and belt it out bigger. And they were like, this is great. They were rolling. They were like, you were the only person to do this audition today. We're doing other auditions today. And we totally needed this. Like this just set a tone for everybody else. And I was like, this is amazing. They did not pick me. But because of that, I actually got brought back for a couple of other auditions. So I got in House of Cards because of that.
Nice.
I got in what was the other one? I think it was Viva was brought in for a different audition. I didn't get that part, but still, like I had other opportunities that opened up because I put myself out there. The best part of that experience, other than what they said in the room, was when I walked out. I'm putting my shirt back on, like I'm in process, and this poor dude who got there after me is in the lounge area. He's reading for a different part, and he looks up at me, putting my shirt back on. He's looking down at the script, looking back up at me, and the cast director's over my shoulder going, oh, don't worry, honey, you're not reading for that. I was like, this is great. The best part ever.
Man, I would have been sitting there like this going, I don't even want to know what he read for.
Right.
He's walking out shirtless almost. But no, that was the same, like the reaction that you're talking about is the same reaction we got from the director and his assistant, and the people in this venue, like that showed up for this audition. Now I'm a shy person. No, as weird as that sounds, like I don't like being up in front of people for like having to read things because like I have a comprehension problem. So remembering things is a hard thing to do. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna screw up these lines. Like there's whatever.
Yeah.
And then I got up there and like when he was like, hey, I don't want you to read that line. I need you to read this one. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, it went wrestling. Okay. Now I'm going in Dennis Reaper mode. I'm good. I literally picture them as wrestling fans, and I was like 150 miles an hour. And we did our lines, and like everybody that was in there with us, besides like the cast and everybody were all amped up about it. They were like, that was fucking, you killed it. Like that's folks. That's the way you do an audition. And everybody's sitting there just like, we still have to read though.
Yeah.
Like we have to do that. Like how do you follow that? It's hard. But at the same time, if you're in the acting world, that should be like, all right, they did good. I'm gonna beat that now. Now I know where I need to beat.
But at the same time, like I've had horrible flubs at auditions. Like I read for one part that I was like, I nailed it. I knew I nailed it. I got the response I wanted. Like it was great. And they were like, when we read for this other part, and it was a horror movie, so it was to be a vampire, and I was like, I couldn't think of a vampire voice. Like my brain, like it was literally Dracula, and I'm like, I couldn't think of Dracula voice. My brain in that moment just was like, So it was like it was very flat, Phil Stamper, and I'm like, why brain no work now? But like,
why brain no work now?
I learn a lot of my scripts in the same way we talk about like, well, so I tell people to do this with their promo sometimes, that if everybody has an amazing start to their promo and then no idea how to finish it, like you need to know your way out of your promo. Like you need to have that good finish to close it out. So when I do a script, I start with the last line first and I read backwards. because I'm like, if I flub something in the beginning of a conversation on a script, and like if I can navigate it, know where I need to go, even if I'm off a couple words, like for some reason I've learned like I do that better than if I read it forwards to backwards. Like I go backwards to forwards.
Yeah, like the movie that I'm in is called The Blood Within. It's a horror movie, and like I was all stoked. Like as soon as I left the audition, dude, I called my girlfriend, and was like, "So, change of plans. No, I did not get the role that I wanted. I got a bigger role, which is totally awkward because again, I wasn't planning on this. Which was cool. Like I want to do more acting stuff. I just don't know where the hell to go. Like I have a friend that does acting stuff in New York. That was in wrestling, so he's trying to get me up there through some acting places for auditions for small gigs, and I'm like, I'm in. But he's also like, once you do this movie, make sure you get when the director does it, have him cut you a reel and get it to me. He goes, that's how I'm gonna get the people because he does True Blood, and a bunch of cop stuff up there. So he's like, I can get you in with that DVD. He goes, that'll be the in. He goes, you won't even have to audition as long as you play the role properly. And I watch it. If I watch it, I go, this is something that people need. He goes, you'll get booked in New York all the goddamn time. He goes, especially from a horror movie, because they'll be like, oh, you actually played a serious role and you were a lead. This isn't no like, hey, in the background.
Well,
but Chio actually asked another question. Do you teach seminars? Which wrestling related lessons, in or outside the ring, do you like the most?
Ooh, so I do teach seminars. I focus on. I have done seminars where I combine all this together, but I start with like promos, personality, and submission grappling for professional wrestling. Just because that's my strong wheelhouse. I'm not somebody who's going to teach you how to do aerial maneuvers in wrestling and make it work well. But I blend all of that together typically into a seminar, and I enjoy that because part of what you're doing inside that wrestling ring is not only showing off your athletic ability, but also making a connection to a crowd, so they're interested in what you're doing. And I even today I had to tell that lesson to somebody today. It was like, you need to bring them with you, so they like get into it and feel it, and like they're then with you. So when things go wrong or things go great, like they're with you on that ride, and that's how you can incorporate yourself with them. So like I like that persona, that personality in wrestling, and trying to help people like realize that, because those are the folks that do better. Like those are the folks that you see further reaching out, and doing more and more things.
Yeah, I remember I reached out to you about a promo when I was getting back in the ring, and I was like, hey, check this video out for me. Tell me what you think. And you were like, okay, so here's my critique. Change this, do it again, send it to me. This is when I worked at LA Fitness, and I'm literally using the men's locker room, like in the hallway area, that it was like somewhat dark. It had a little echo. I had a little bit of light, and it was like I think I took like probably like 100 takes, and I couldn't nail it. Like I still couldn't nail that. And I mean, I liked my script because I sent it to you saying, hey, what do you think of this? Here's the video. And you were like, tweak these. I think you're onto something. It works. But I couldn't nail it. And then I went a different route and used like lighting a Bible on fire. It wasn't a real Bible, it was a book, but we made people believe I actually lit a Bible on fire to face Ron Starr, the most nicest religious person you'll ever meet in this business, which was hilarious. But so coming up with what Chio actually asked, the things that you teach in seminars and where do you focus in your upcoming in professional wrestling? What was the hardest thing for you to overcome? Was it learning? Was it the in-ring stuff? Was it the character? Was it the promos, or was it a mix of everything?
Well, in many ways, it was that mix. Because I was smart to the business, and I started working backstage. So on like the operational side of how wrestling ran, I knew it. And once I was in the ring, and on things I know now that I wish I knew then. The trainer I had at that time, I didn't know that he didn't really know what he was doing. And so years later, not even years, but a few months later, I figured that out pretty quickly. And I was fortunate that because I had built up a good relationship with other people in wrestling, like as I was getting in, I'm like, oh, like, and so some other people helped me, and I continued to work on the road and went to other seminars and like, okay, I need to learn this because I remember like I gave myself my own persona and nobody understood it, and it took like 2 or 3 events for me to be like, oh, nobody gets this. Okay, I need to do something different. Chio, before we went on the air, was like, yeah, I remember when you reached out and you were PS Phenom, and I was like, yeah. And that didn't last long because people just sort of knew me and were always like, Phil. And I'm like,
Yeah.
not Phil here, but okay. And so I had to modify. I had to sort of roll with the punches.
No, the whole name thing, I get it, because everywhere was like everybody would not want to call me Dennis Reaper. They would want to say Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one show, LCW, Lancaster Championship Wrestling, I was coming out to the ring when I was doing a dark gimmick. I was drawing the blood, the whole upside down star, and 4 fans started chanting Antichrist. I never had no nickname before.
Yeah.
Just was always Dennis Reaper, and I just died laughing at ringside looking at these kids. One of the kids is actually Suicide Myers.
Okay.
Before he was a wrestler, which, if anybody in the in the East Coast, if you don't book that kid,
Mm-hmm.
please book him. The kid is so smart psychology wise. He gets it. He's so good, and deserves another, big break somewhere, anywhere. But it was like, okay, so at that show, every time I would come out, it was Antichrist. Even if I was just at the show to hang out, the kids would walk up and fans were like, "Yeah, you're the Antichrist." Well, I'm Dennis Reaper, but sure, yeah, I'm just, just an average Joe. So like every other show started to pick up on other shows. So I was like, screw it. Now at other shows, I came out as the Antichrist Dennis Reaper because of one main show. Do you believe? Chio's asking, do you believe in real managers is a lost art?
Now you can see anyone. So I remember early on, I was like, I had a conversation with and this person, a friend of mine, who would like bring his latest girlfriend to the ring with him, not trained in anything in wrestling, and I'm like, you understand how risky that is for her. You understand like how dangerous that is for other people, especially if you want her to be involved physically. Like this might not be the right spot. And I was like super young in wrestling, and this person was super young in wrestling. It was like, it was not a conversation like we should have had, like a promoter should have had this conversation. So I hate to say it's always been around like that, but it's been around like that.
Yeah.
I will say like managing is a particular art, like just like anything else, like there's a particular skill set to it. And I remember working one event as a manager, I felt like I'm so out of step. Like I wasn't trained as a manager. Like my ability to be a manager, I have to learn it because that was not the gig I had, And so I had to sort of reframe my brain a little bit on how to associate that. But not everybody can do that. And just like anything else in wrestling, especially, it takes an amount of training and it takes an amount of practice to do it too. That you shouldn't just be standing. Look at me, I'm the person on the outside.
Yeah.
That's like, to me, that's scary.
Yeah, like I've been at. I think that's one of. Again, I do think real managers is a lost art. I think promos and character development is a lost art anymore. Everybody just wants to learn fancy moves, and be flashy in the ring. The biggest lost art. I don't know if you would agree. Do you think psychology is a lost art anymore with training?
To a degree. Well, yes and no. Do you think I have the ability to manage Dennis? Yes, Chio. You could totally manage Dennis.
Dear God, that's asking for trouble.
So, I mean, and the good and bad thing about wrestling, and wrestling is permeated into part of our culture. It's part of pop culture. Like almost every television series at one point is going to have a wrestling episode. Many of the people who are excelled at that upper level in professional wrestling are on television shows, on movies, like Batista's, CM Punk, Steve Austin. Like you see them again and again in our entertainment. So wrestling is like permeated culture in so many different ways, especially on the entertainment side. So at the same time, that's exposed wrestling a little bit to, it's open for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it can't be, like, but what I want to be clear about is it still takes a certain level of training involvement, and that the people who are doing that training and involvement need to have a certain level of knowledge, and not everybody has a certain level of knowledge. And what's weird is as I say this out loud, like there are two promoters who I think of off the top of my head who have zero wrestling training, who are actually really solid and amazing promoters. They're great to work with. But I've worked with people who have had years and years and decades of experience in professional wrestling who probably should never have been in professional wrestling in the first place. And so it's a weird balance. It is up to the sort of the individual experience that person brings to the table. Now, if that untrained promoter is also now trying to train other people, I'd be like, don't do that. Because we have seen that before. And so unfortunately it exists. It's out there.
It is.
And somebody recently reached out to me and was like, hey, can you give me feedback on a tag team? And in my brain, I was like, the person who was reaching out to me, I'm like, you shouldn't be talking to me about anything in wrestling. Like, you're not somebody who should be 100 yards from a building. And I watched this event and I was like, okay, the tag team was actually not that bad. I was like, but you shouldn't be anywhere involved.
Yeah.
So, it is a little bit about the experience the person brings and that they've had to go through. But I also don't necessarily discredit somebody because they've had a poorer training experience. Because sometimes, like me, I didn't know any better when I first started. And like this person didn't know what he was talking about.
Nope.
I remember I knew right away. I remember my first match I had somewhere else and I was like, something's wrong. Like this didn't click. And fortunately I knew the person I worked and I was like, I need to talk to somebody. And we talked and like he helped me get my head straight a little bit. Shortly after that, I did a series of seminars with a few different people. And I was like, okay, now it clicks. Now I get it. Now I know the things that I didn't know from this person who shouldn't have been anywhere near wrestling. And so like, it's choppy water at times. But and again, I compare it sometimes to my life outside of wrestling. That there are people who, people who get promotions. It's like, should they have been promoted? Like, are they really doing that work?
Yeah.
And so that happens too outside of our wrestling lives. And again, it's you roll with the punches. You have to do your best and do what you can to get by to make it to the next day.
Yeah.
And hopefully no one mucks you up along the way.
Oh God, yeah. Like I would say I had my very first wrestling training experience was down in Orlando. I was, again, I always say I was part of the TNA street team at the time. At first I just worked at Universal Studios and was just a fan of wrestling and met some of the people that were part of it and became friends with them and then started helping them with the street team and making, helping them with the lines and going in early and things like that. So I met a guy named Rock and Roll Rouge that was security for TNA at the time. And he trained people. Worst experience ever. I was there like a month and then the school closed. Love the guy, and he passed away because of cancer, and I wish his family and his kids and everything are still doing well. He was a great guy, just not a wrestling trainer. Should not have been. And he was a good wrestler. Like, he wasn't mainstream, but everybody knew him down there. He was a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Was not a good trainer, unfortunately. Like, I was there multiple times and it was like, hey, your first day, you're going to learn how to tape the ropes. Okay, no big deal. I got to learn the easy stuff. He didn't tell me that he just got into the building and just got the ring there and I'm his only student. He pitched it to me that he has multiple students. But we are given a 5-minute, we're getting a 5-minute warning from my backstage analyst. Analyst. That's Chio saying, guys, analyst. He likes it in the anal. Shot fired there, Chio. Love you, but yeah, it's funny. It's all funny games. But
Is it though? Is it?
Not really. But moving back up here, I got lucky. I really did get lucky because before I moved down to Florida, I already met Captain Rick and all them. And then moved to Florida, came back up here, and then ran back into Captain Rick and them. After meeting with you and living in Birdsboro because me and her split up. But you guys opened the door for me to know what I was able to do at that point And then, meeting Captain Rick and them, and then the story's history. At that point, I'll be on 15 years this summer. Like, and my body hurts. It's never not gonna hurt. But if out of all your injuries, and I know me and you probably have 2 or 3 notebooks full probably of things we've hurt in our bodies, multiple times. What would you say your worst injury would have been?
Ooh, the worst injury, like direct impact thing, was I tore my ACL, MCL, LCL, and lateral meniscus all at the same time in my right knee. And so couldn't walk for a month before surgery. Couldn't walk for and when they went in to do the surgery, they thought I'd only torn my ACL. And when they got in, they're like, "Oh, you tore everything else too, except your PCL." And so it was a very long recovery. But and oddly enough, at the time I didn't realize it. I needed that. I needed to step away for a minute. And when I came back, I came back swinging. Oddly enough, the surgery was bad. The surgery was bad. The recovery was bad. Worse than my neck surgery. I have a steel plate incision on 3 of my vertebrae, and that wasn't as bad as my knee surgery.
The knee is the worst.
Yeah, it sucked. There are things. Again, it's one of those, now that I've had that experience, if I ever had to go through it again, I know things I would do differently. Including have a competent doctor.
Same here. That's why I had the issues with my knee.
Yeah.
And I tear my meniscus. I have a partial tear. They scope it, do the surgery, get the stitches taken out, and get told I don't need physical therapy.
Yeah.
Bro, you just cut into an athlete's knee and I don't need any physical therapy? He goes, no, you're good. Now, thankfully, Mark messed and Troy messed, even though I was stubborn and stupid and cried like a little bitch. I'll call it how I see it. And was mad. I was mad that they wouldn't let me in the wrestling ring, the train, or even get used to the ring again. Now I understand why they said it. I had complications. My knee wasn't strong enough. I had a doctor that was a moron. Unfortunately, I couldn't sue him because apparently the clause that the hospital had was, there's things can happen and the doctor can't be held at fault. Damn, small print. Read small print, people, for injuries in this sport, or you're screwed.
My most annoying injury was probably and this was just at training one day, just practicing, and somebody got suplexed on top of my face, and so my teeth went halfway through my lip.
I remember that photo.
Yeah, and it was just what do you do? This is your lips right there. You can't put anything against it. Oh, that just sucked. Even a knee. At least you could sit down.
I hate to bring up. I'm not going to mention the person's name, but he was from Maryland, and he lives in Maryland. He's a vampire.
Oh yes.
The group that he was a part of.
Okay.
Was a heavier set. Did a Jamaican gimmick.
I remember that person, but I'm
it was J. Cole and somebody.
Okay.
It was his partner. I was at Triple WA. Before I know Chio comes in, this one's great. So I'm at Triple WA and Dino Santa. Love Dino to death. Such a nice guy. Dennis, can you wrestle? Dino, I don't have gear. We need someone. We need someone to wrestle this guy. Okay, well, here, I'll wrestle in my gear. I'll wrestle in street clothes. Screw it.
Yeah.
What do you need? How long do we need? 5 minutes. Okay, no big deal. I can give you 5 minutes in street clothes.
Yeah.
So, me and what's his name go over how we're going to set this up. I go, look, I'll be at ringside. Call me out. And then, at the end of the match, we do it. I lose the whole setup thing. And out of nowhere, I get picked up, body slammed. The dude puts a Jamaican flag over my face and leg drops my face. And when I say it smelled like he hasn't showered or wiped his ass in days, dude, the smell on my lip that was busted open was so disgusting. I go to the doctor, I go to the hospital because I know I needed a stitch.
Yeah.
But luckily I didn't need it. Like he goes, it's deep enough, but it's not that bad to where you need it. He goes, but I'm gonna clean it because you said someone that didn't wipe his ass landed on your face, dude. I was so grossed out. Like I went to Dina the next. I called Dina the next day. I was like, I never want to see them again. Like that kid does. I will never be in the ring. Then they had me and that guy face each other again, and I did a plancha off the apron to him. And I mean, dude, my back landed directly on his face on concrete.
Yeah.
Didn't care. I was like, that's your receipt, kid. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
But, I know Chio said we had 5 minutes, and I'm looking at the timer. I can see the 5 minutes is up.
Whatever,
Chio didn't come
Chio.
back in yet.
What are you going to do, Chio?
What are you going to do? End the show, Chio? Oh, Mr. Big Shot backstage. But this is the kind of thing me and Chio do. Like, usually we only do like a 45-minute to an hour-long show. But the thing is, it's like there's so much history. There's so many things we could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Not one show can do it. Like we could probably have you on again and talk more about other things in your career, and we all can relate to it. But the one thing we always ask, if there's any, if there's shows you have coming on and coming up and things like that. I see the one in the background, and I see
in the background.
And I do see a bunch of people that are on national television, a lot, and so if there's a show you have coming up soon or any big events coming up here, plug away, dude. It's your floor.
So next Friday, the 28th, I'm at Voltage Wrestling in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. On the next night, on the 29th, I'm at Flying V in Silver Spring. So that's Friday the 28th at Voltage, the 29th at Flying V in Silver Spring. Then MCW has 2 events the first weekend in February. One in Hollywood, Maryland, which is 25 minutes from my house, which is great. Like that's my favorite. I go 25 minutes that way, and I make fun of everybody else that has to drive the 2 hours from Baltimore down. And then the next night up in Glen Burnie. So the next 2, not this weekend, I don't have anything because I'm still recovering from pneumonia. If you haven't been seeing, I've been like covering my mic and coughing like crazy. So the 2 weeks after that, I have 4 events. I'm really excited. So Voltage, Wrestling, Flying V, and MCW Pro. But a lot of other things are coming up. Wrestle Pit out of Pennsylvania, Honorary up in Lewistown, Kaiju Big Battles coming to Lancaster in March. I'm so excited to work for Kaiju Big Battle.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Zabatas in Indiana. Revolver's returning to Iowa in April. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming. And what's been exciting is coming. And while I was sick this last couple of weeks, I updated my resume. I was like, let me clean it up and let me tweak it a little bit. And let me start hitting up other promotions again and just like do a cycle of like, hey, I'm looking for places. And I'll be honest, I don't know how to take it. Is a lot of people at this time around have been like, oh yeah, I know who you are. And like, I really want to work with you. Like, really? Like, how do you know me? Like, it's so like, yeah. I haven't been processing that. So that's been weird. In some respects, it's cool. Like, awesome. Let's do business. I hope I can do some more traveling. I'm hopeful. Not even because of WrestleMania weekend, but I'm connected with a promotion now in Texas.
Nice.
Pele Pro. So I'm hoping to come down there, whether that's WrestleMania weekend or not. Revolver might be down, might possibly be down there as well that weekend for Mania weekend. So there's some considerations we have to make if we do that. Ignite comes back in May. So like, I'm really excited about things that are moving forward. And I was really fortunate, we're in the middle of a pandemic. This past year, I worked for 3 states I've never been in before on an event: Texas, Florida, and Oklahoma. I'm in talks with another promotion in Oklahoma now to go back out there. Talking with a promotion in Texas to go out there, a different one. So I'm really excited about that. I'm still doing things and getting out there. And I hope that continues. I'm really looking forward to what this year is going to bring in my wrestling life.
Dude, that's awesome. Like, the whole reaching out to promotions. Like, I've just started to reach out to promotions going, hey, probably around the summertime, I'm going to be green lighted again. Like, I've already got cleared for the head stuff. Turned out that honestly, it was just lack of sleep, lack of food, and stress that was making me feel foggy. with being in wrestling and having concussions, you always think the worst.
Yeah.
Anytime you get that fight, like, I mean, when I would sit here, I'd be sitting here sometimes and I'd just be like, I could see you, but my head would feel just like foggy. And I'd be like, what the hell? I felt like I was like, do I got COVID now?
Yeah.
Again? For the 12th time? This is weird.
Well,
All right.
The doctor who told me I had a precancerous condition, but I don't really have it. I still have the condition that's connected to it. So it's like, and it's a digestive issue. And one of the signs of COVID is this. And I'm like, oh God, is it this? Or is it COVID? Oh God, what do I do? Like,
yeah.
And even when I had
it's
this,
one of those crazy situations. You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just had pneumonia, and I'm like, all right, this is it. This is me getting COVID. And it wasn't COVID. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
My sister had COVID. My youngest niece had it, but my oldest niece that lives in the same house with both of them had all the symptoms, but kept testing negative. But no, like, everybody's like, what am I coming back for? I was like, well, this is where the curveball is. I don't know if I'm up for reffing. Like, I'm always down to be refereeing. I go, but I'm starting to do ringside photography again. I go, but I'm starting to get, I like doing backstage stuff now and being involved a little bit and help and pass knowledge on. But commentating is where I want to go. And they were like, let us get back to you. They go, we actually kind of want to have, live commentating. So I'm buying a software system, the telecom thing. I think I'm going to go with, and I'll just take it with me and have me and one other person have the headsets I have, and we're going to do commentating.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, that's crazy, but you like wrestling. Well, yeah, but at the same time, I know when I need to back away. But I know Chio's probably ready to come on in here because I'm full screen, so I can't see if he's saying anything. In the private chat.
I will say in the next couple of months you might hear about something about me back in the ring too.
Like I still want to face you one-on-one. I'm not gonna lie. We never have done that yet. We had 4 the people in the ring against us.
Right.
But I know I've never faced Chio yet, which he knows that if he does, I do want to face him one time. There's a list of guys that
I'll be your ref. If you two face each other, I'll be your ref.
That would be pretty dope.
My body is broken right now. I'm trying to rehab myself. I'm lucky if I can get out of bed without hurting.
Oh, I get out of bed hurting every morning. I drop stuff. I wake up my girl, and she pops up looking at me like, what the hell, you asshole? I was sleeping. I don't need to be up for another 4 hours. She doesn't say that, but that's the look I get. She's like, I don't say that. No, that's the look I get. I get the death stare.
It's okay. Remember when I was saying earlier that how I had Phil on my list to be on the show?
Yes.
I came across a notepad.
Oh dear God, is he on there?
Yes, of when I was. His name's on
He's right there.
It was
Andy
like
Header is above you though.
Is that like the order of a rumble or something?
No, I was just going down with ideas. This is going back to last year when we just started when I was.
We were at a studio called Crack Bell.
No, this was after
we were
that.
at Crack Bell when you started that list.
No. This was after when we went to Last
Out
because the page before that I was looking into StreamYard.
That's right. Okay, no, that's right.
So yeah, because I got the notes here of like, okay, I was checking this out and that out, and then next thing I know, I'm like, oh, Phil's name is on here. Shit, see, yeah, and I can cross off a lot of names on this list that we already had. So that works out.
I've been talking to Phil about doing the interview for the My segment when I'm in Maryland. Which, hey, by the way, I'm gonna be down there the 5th and 6th down there at Celeb Fest 3. I'm gonna be taking photos for Chad, which I still owe Chad photos from the last one. But the laptop that I had broke. The screen broke. So before it broke, I had the SD card in it. So the computer only allowed 36 photos to save onto the SD card before the screen broke.
Oh, that sucks.
There's 160 photos. The company sent me the wrong screen and haven't answered any emails from me to send me the proper screen.
Those
So like I
bastards.
can't do nothing. Like it's like I can take it to a place, a computer store, but it's going to cost $200 to get the hard drive taken off. And I'm like, I'm not paying $200 for a hard drive. The take out, get what off of it, and then do it again on another laptop.
Mhm.
But you know, we're coming. Me and my girlfriend will be down there. I think we're gonna get a hotel. I don't know, but you know, if you're gonna live like 25 minutes away from the Hollywood show, where the first event might be, hey,
Hey, just bring
we
some
might have to
blanket and
talk
pillows. You
and
got a
see
nice
about hey
floor.
how much hotel Phil Stamper is for one night. For me and my girl, so we don't have to like cough out buku money for a hotel since we just got an apartment and it's we move in the week after that event. But we could definitely film the Reap the Future show that day while we're down
Then,
there too with you.
Right.
But we're
Dennis,
gonna be
when you
live
move in again,
we're gonna be live both days down there for the whole Reap the Future and on Celeb Fest because we're gonna have interview. I'm gonna literally talk to everybody that's down there, every talent. I'm working on to be able to get them on there so people can tune in if they want autographs. They can purchase through their people's websites. But
hey Dennis,
yes,
what was that weekend you're moving again?
February 12th
Oh,
is
I'm
the
booked.
official
I'm
move-in
booked.
day.
I'm booked that whole weekend.
That's fine. We don't need a broken down old man. Yes, I got another zinger. Zing!
Well,
Zingbot, baby.
If I show up, it's going to be with a white hard hat, so I can supervise.
It'll be with a white hard hat. Hey, I have one on my work van if you need one.
There you go.
I build closets for a living. Sometimes it's dangerous.
No. Here's the thing. We'll get a bunch of white hard hats. We'll invite a lot of people. We'll stand around and we'll book Pat to come in to do all the work.
Hold on, he don't do work now for PennDOT. No, we're good. Have you driven on the roads in Pennsylvania? They're still bad. But Phil,
are they ever good in Pennsylvania?
King of Prussia is not as bad. It's not the greatest, but they're not that bad.
They just redid that whole massive cross intersection of interstates there, didn't they?
Yeah, some of those spots are all right.
Right, that's why.
That's about it.
Right.
It's King of Prussia. They have money. But no, Phil, dude, I appreciate you very much for coming on the show, man. It's again, we go way back, so just the BS in here and going down memory lane and hearing about your uprising and wrestling and things you help with and all the shows you're a part of, dude. I have nothing but respect and love for you. As always, has been since day one. Giving me my first shot with PWU and almost getting killed by SATs for not backing down to them.
Right.
When y'all didn't tell me there was going to be a brawl between them and the security guards and just told me to go out there and stop them. Like, I appreciate not telling me that and almost me dying.
To be fair, we might not have known. That might have just happened in the moment.
All I know is they were getting kicked out of the building and we were told, hey, make sure they leave. And we were told to take them out the side door. And they shoved me, and I shoved them back. I didn't know they were. Who the hell are you shoving? I'll punch you in the face. We get to the locker room, and they go, first off, we appreciate you didn't back down. But second off, your security, just be security.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And then they go, what do you mean you didn't know? I go, Phil, no one told me this. And Cashmere looked over. You looked over, go, shrug your shoulders. It's cool. But it looked good and it was real.
Welcome to the business, kid. Welcome to the business.
Dude, that's exactly what Luke Hawk said too. Luke Hawk's first words is, welcome to the business officially. You got shoved.
All right.
When we were talking about acting stuff, really quick about Luke, like I love like randomly seeing Luke in stuff that he wasn't like a primary person on and being like, I just saw you, Luke.
Dude.
Like I saw him on an episode of NCIS New Orleans, and he's like, "How did you see me? Like I was literally in an X-Men movie for most of the movie, and like you brought up the one thing I was in for half a second where you saw this much of my face. Like,
look, I died when I saw him in The Chaperone and go into what was the animal? Was it a lion's ass or the mouth of a tiger or whatever?
Something like that, yeah."
And I was like, I saw it. I'm like, hold on, rewind. And I was like, I know that guy. Cool. And like people were like, hold on, you know him? I'm like, don't worry about that. But yes, I do know him. I know a lot of people that are actors from wrestling. We get paid. We get paid to get beat up. So why not be in a movie and do stunts? You know, he's made a great living doing it. He's been in a lot of top movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so kudos to Luke. Like,
yeah,
you know, from being the altar boy to being, you know, Luke Hawk to Southern Stomper to, you know, the Wildcats wrestling and everything. The dude's going like NWA with him and his kid. Like that,
Yeah.
that to me is the coolest part. Him and his son wrestling against each other and tagging. Like that's something you can't ever get back. Just like, you know, Chio doing, you know, the music and stuff, and his daughter being ringside photography. That's memories that they have together because they're part of the business together. You know, so that's cool. And I love seeing it. Like me and Chio go way back too, and I've known his daughter since she's been little. So I enjoy seeing, you know, his joy of watching his daughter do what she does. So seeing Luke and his kid do it is awesome.
Your daughter, is she
JoJo?
Is she in college yet?
She's a senior in high school. She has all these Yes. She has all these applications for the last year, been bombarding our house, just stockpiling up of like scholarships they want to give her and stuff. And
Good.
For everything she's learned from guys like Eric Pinhat up there at GSW.
Yeah.
Being part of the show in small little segments, even when she jumped in the ring when Kevin Graham was I'm like, and as I'm covering Sean's silence, as Kevin Graham's beating on me with the kendo stick, she comes in between me and Kevin to try to protect me, and I'm laughing, and I'm saying as I'm over top of Sean's silence. And Kevin's there with the stick, getting ready. You're like, and he's looking around. And you were out there at the time because I think you were out there because I know you were his manager. And I'm and in the back of my head, I'm saying out loud, hit her, hit the bitch, hit her. Because that's my way of welcoming her. Hit her. Like
man, that's funny.
But for her being in drama club and all that stuff, she got in there and she made herself cry on on call. She just got in the back. Everyone's hugging her, consoling her. Oh my God, you're really crying. They're like, how'd you do that? She's like, I don't know. I just did it. You know? So with everything she's done, and plus she's getting her name out there too of getting booked under JoJo photos. Like she's been taking pics for not just Outbreak and GSW. She's been down Super Crazy, Pro Wrestling Magic, Invicted, like wherever I do sound, and if you go on IWTV and you see some of that recent stuff within the last year or so, you'll see her at ringside snapping away, taking pictures. And when I tell her, look at all these stars that are on TV and stuff like that you're taking pictures of, she shrugs it off like that, yeah, okay, whatever. Right. Yeah. It's like it's nothing to her, and I'm more hyped for her than anything.
Dude, I was the same way when I had people hit me up. First off, when I did the whole Impact thing when it was in Bethlehem on my birthday, and I was doing I got asked to help with the whole Jeff Hardy and Eric Young spot with him getting taken out on a gurney and a stretcher because I had EMS and firefighting experience. I didn't know people took photos of me doing it. I didn't even know it was going to be on national television. I thought we were already on commercial. I had my phone blow up within 20 minutes of people with photos. I'm like, whoa, what? But I'm like, it's cool. Like, to me, it was cool because regular Dennis is excited. Professional Dennis is like, yeah, it's cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. But in my mind, I'm losing my shit because I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. But again,
oddly enough, my impact moment with Matt and Jeff Hardy when they were doing the exploration for gold, like that one, because we had filmed it and we knew it was a pre-tape, and so we were like, we don't know when it's going to air. And then about like 2 weeks after we filmed it, that was when all the rumors were out there about like Jeff and Matt might be leaving Impact. So we're like, is it ever going to air? Are we going to see it at all? Is it just going to go away? And so I didn't know when it was going to air, and it was the same way. Like, were you just on Impact? And I did an investigation discovery show called Evil Twins, and I know I was not a twin.
I was thinking that, like, hold on.
Everybody, that's like the second question when sometimes people hear. Oddly enough, I played like 5 different characters on the show, but one of the characters I played actually killed more people than the evil twins on the show. But I got so many mentions on that, and like I didn't know what was going on. I was like, "What's happening?" Because it was the same kind of thing. Like we filmed it, and it was over like a year later, like maybe 15 months later, when they finally aired it. And so it was like, "Oh, this is great!" I had no idea it was coming.
That's great.
We're almost hitting the 2-hour mark here. It's getting late. I know we all have mornings to get up and actually do our 9 to 5 jobs. Yeah.
What's that? It's Friday.
It's a Friday.
If it ain't wrestling, it ain't working.
Yeah,
Bill's always live on Facebook and stuff, so it's not like he's gonna be like tomorrow night. He'll be driving home from work
and live,
just shooting the shit. With all of us, because usually when he goes live, I'm on my phone and I'm watching it. I just always forget. I'm always like, do I comment on this, or do I just sit here and listen to these people ask him questions and the rant that he's going on? I'm gonna just chill and listen.
I would try to go live like when I'm driving home, but unfortunately, I get. With the long distance that I'm traveling at some of these events, I tend to get, and it's late, and I tend to get more tired than anything.
Yeah.
So I think I want to pay attention to the road.
Yeah. Like if I would absolutely go live from work in my while I'm building people's closets, but I can't because like some of the customers would be cool. But there is some high-end customers that we build closets for. Like I actually built one closet in the nursery for a Philadelphia Eagle. I didn't even know it was them. I knew the last name, but I was like, anybody can have this last name. Until I left and the designer told me who it was for. I'm like, you got to be shitting me right now. Like, you could have told me this earlier and I wouldn't have probably looked like a moron. But I'm glad you didn't tell me because at the same time, I'm here to do a job. But now I'm like, but no, Phil, again, like, good luck have fun in the next 2 shows, especially I know you're excited for them both. Especially one going up against, the Royal Rumble. Anybody that's going up against the Royal Rumble is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, because it's, fans are still going to come out to the shows and support it. But I want to know, when you're at the show that Saturday, the 29th, you should take a picture of how many people are actually on their phones while the show's going on and the Rumble's going on.
Well, it's probably an early show, though, is it?
I mean, the advantage well, no, this one isn't. But the advantage of the Rumble is that it's streaming. Like you can go back and watch. Like you can go home and
the next day,
or watch it the next day.
That's the beautiful part.
Yeah.
But I know people that are going to be there, like all 3 of us being professional wrestlers and being in the business. Everybody's talking about that Forbidden Door right now for the men.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it going to be? Apparently, I haven't watched the Mox Comp promo yet, so don't spoil. But I heard one thing someone said is he pretty much said he wants to work for every company right now. Okay, Cody Rhodes is a free agent, so that's now out there, and it's like, okay. So there's so many people that could be that person. Someone said Moose, and I was like, I don't think that's going to be a big enough name.
Yo, I think it would be funny if you see Omega show up.
Dude, if Omega comes out into the Rumble, the internet's going to explode.
It's going to, yeah.
And here's the one person I want to see if Phil agrees. If CM Punk walks through that, if his music hits.
Yeah.
Or Chris Jericho's hits with Judas.
I think.
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
I was of all of them, my money's a little bit more on Chris Jericho because he's been very public about keeping a good relationship with Vince McMahon.
Yes.
Punk left not on great terms.
Jericho did the Broken Skull thing, so I don't see why not.
Right.
My money's on Jericho as well, though.
One guy I would like to see, which I don't think is going to happen at all, just because depending on how New Japan is with their contracts and stuff, and that's Will Ospreay.
I would be, dude. That would see. Okay, so I could see that, right? But would the fans that are in the WWE world that are wrestling WWE fans only know who he is?
Well,
that's the catch.
It would be a tough one there. Only reason because a lot of American fans were all hyped about, will Kenny Omega go to WWE after, before AEW started?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if the fans know who Kenny Omega is, they might know who Ospreay is.
Right.
Where then at the same time, on record, in videos, Paul Heyman endorsed Will Ospreay.
Right.
Yeah.
He's made it pretty evident that he supports Will Ospreay.
And then
everywhere.
With the size factor, with the size that Will put on and with his in-ring abilities, bout for bout, they had Kenny Omega as, the best bout machine around, but with Will's skill level and with the size he finally put on, I think he has Omega beat big time as being the new bout for bout guy out there.
I think I'm a Will Ospreay fan. I like Kenny Omega. I think he is without a doubt a very amazing technical wrestler if he went technical, but he's also a flashy wrestler, so he can do everything. But I think I've been a Will Ospreay fan for a very long time. I got to meet him down there at the last Slub Fest, and he was the coolest dude to talk to. He convinced me, hey, you should go to New Japan the next day in Philly. Sure enough, I drive home. I told my girl, I was like, hey, so when I get home, we're going to buy tickets for New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Right.
And hung out. Like, we watched a show, and then we're outside, and we were talking to Zane and everybody. But, again, that's for a different day conversation. We are at the 2 or 3 mark. And I'm like,
definitely.
It's 11. I don't go to bed till midnight anyway.
I didn't even eat dinner
a little bit.
But
so,
that's
again, Phil, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you coming on and talking and even BSing now about the Rumble, which we haven't even discussed it on our other show yet.
No.
I wanted to see if, your thoughts about that Forbidden Door thing coming up, because that's the only thing I'm excited for is that men's Royal Rumble for that spot. I want to know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm totally okay with Judas Priest hitting, and that fan started to sing Jericho's song because Vince will be like, God damn, that's money. Why did they let him leave? And that's God honest truth from a fan standpoint. But I look forward to seeing you in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll talk out of here and set up something while we're down there and things like that, so we can all hang out and maybe grab Waffle House, whatever. It's wrestling. But I look forward to my first MCW event that weekend, so should be a fun time. I appreciate it, man. Again,
I'll see you then.
For everyone out there, once again, you can follow Phil on many social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and a bunch of others. Just at Trust in Phil. It's right there at the bottom. It's scrolling. You'll see
It's coming.
Now, yeah. But Phil, other than your platforms, do you have a merchandise page like Pro Wrestling Tees or something like that, or anything like that people can, because you want your was it your Cash App or whatever they can pay to or whatever?
Right. That's oddly enough, Trust and Phil is my Cash App name. So
so there you go.
I don't have a merch store, so I'm actually in the process of trying to set one up. I have a shirt design, I have a logo, I have all that stuff, but I don't have a platform for the shirt yet. So
okay,
I'm in that process.
Well, we see this is designs that we do in house. This is our logo for this show, but we have multiple designs. We actually use Spring. And they're pretty reasonable. They do all the work, and you just adjust the price yourself. And for anybody watching that, watching this, if you want to support us, whether it be Thursday Night Slam or Breakfast and Body Slams, our morning show, or any other t-shirt that we have out there, well, we also have JoJo photos, our pop-up pipe bombs, and we have some of our Body Slams podcast parody shirts, such as the Run DMC one and the OnlyFans type one. You can go on there, check everything out. We're looking to add more items, add more designs. We're working on things. But you can just go to our website, bodyslamspodcast.com, click on Pod Shop, and right there you'll see the link to Spring. It'll take you over there, because whatever you buy, all proceeds is going to go back into this show, because it helps pays for us streaming. So it works out that, because the free version, we only get to stream on one platform. We're up to 3 platforms we can stream to. Let's make it more so we can upgrade again, so we can hit multiple more platforms. Would be great as hell, though. Phil, thank you for coming on. Thank you for returning Dennis's messages and not leaving them on red or unread.
Dude, that's my biggest pet peeve. I hate that.
I can't do it. I can't leave people on red. Like I all my Facebook messages I have read. And I can't like, I've seen other people's where it's like, how do you have like 1,000 messages that you have never looked at? Like that, I don't know. My brain just can't handle that.
And the thing is, some of the people that I've messaged, dude, are not. One of them is a big name, and he knows, and he's down south, and he's making his return, making a comeback after, having issues. But the other ones are friends of ours that we've known from training days. Like, you messaged me about a football game, but won't respond to me about coming here.
Here's the thing that's funny, though, is like, some of them will message you looking to get booked because they're looking to get but when you ask them for something like this, it just cricket.
Yeah. And the funny part is, I always say in the message, like I say, "What's up, man?" If I'm friends with you, it's, "Hey, bro." But I always say, listen, it's remote, so you can do it from home, you could do it from a venue, you could do it from wherever you want that you're comfortable at. 45 minutes to an hour. If you want to go longer, we can. And we just we talk about your career, let the fans hear some stories, talk about your memorabilia that you own, whatever, and no response. Like, you read it, just say, "No, I'm not interested." If you want a couple dollars, just tell me. I will Venmo. If you say, "Hey, I need $20, I'll Venmo you $20 for an hour of your time. Whatever. There's some guys that are young and up and comers in this business. One of them's from H2O, and he would be on it, but he's like, "I'm going to be in another state. I don't know if I'm able to pull it off because of a show." Now we're just waiting. There's some big news, I will say, that I'm in contact with, but I can't pull the trigger yet because they have to get the green light from
management.
Upper management. So can't bring them on until upper management goes. So unfortunately, and I would love to have them. 2 of them are from Japan.
Well, we're over that 2-hour mark. It's time for us to close out this show. But you know what, fans? People are watching. I'm gonna have a little fun with this today. I usually do the closeouts, but Phil, since you got the gift of gab, why not you end this show, close us out with a nice goodbye? You can do it in promo style or whatever, however you want. Just send us off the air.
Chio, it has been a long time since you and I have been in the same place at the same time.
This son of a bitch. God damn it.
Not where I was going.
It's
go
time. It's go time.
His microphone just fell into his face.
I hit it.
Don't make me use it. Don't make me use it.
No. Oh. Drop the bomb.
So, Chio, we are going to see each other again sometime very soon. And so I want you to make sure that you think of the last memory that you want me to have of you before I see you the next time. So you need to pick your words very carefully, because everybody else knows that they need to trust in Phil, and people are still wondering what they need to do with you.
That's great. Thank you, Phil. That was great. That was awesome.
People are still trying to figure out what to do with you.
The next time we hook up, we're definitely gonna have a ball. Like I said, thanks again for coming on. Appreciate it. Thank you for closing us out there. For Phil Stamper, everyone, I'm Chio. That's Dennis. You're tuned into the Body Slams podcast, and I guess we'll see you at the matches. Peace out.
This is how it's gonna be. This is what you think of me. It's going down like I told you. This is how it's gonna be. I'll be the last man standing here. I'm not going anywhere. It's going down like I told you. I'll be the last man standing here. I'm gonna rock you. I'm gonna rock you. I'm gonna rock you. I'll have you begging for mercy, begging for mercy.